Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Samee With Session. We're here again in our usual slot of Friday lunchtime. That's a bit of a mouthful to say on a Friday lunchtime. But we are here as our usual slot. We're here at 12 o'clock lunchtime on a Friday to give you something at the end of the week to think about and take away, and a little break from the usual, I think. So that's always a good thing. We'll just wait as people are starting to come on now, and they're starting to join us. So that's good. I know a few people have said they're looking forward to it and exciting. And this week we thought we'd do something around customer service and how important it is. So we thought no one better to do this than our very own is Mr. Simon Tucker. So welcome and thank you for joining us again, Simon. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Ricky, and it's a pleasure to be here. So appreciate being asked.
It's
very nice when somebody actually thinks I know something about a subject. Can I have a letter from my wife, please?
Yeah, indeed. So I mean, obviously people have seen you on here before, and some of the people we work with know you, but I think it'd be good for you to kind of just do a brief introduction and let everyone know, for the wider audience, who you are and what you do. So over to you.
Well, I wish I knew what I did, Ricky. That would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Predominantly, I see myself as a coach and trainer in sales and communication. I've been a salesman all my life, apart from 3 years as an engineer back in the late 70s, long before most of your listeners were born. So I've been in sales all my life, and I think sales, customer service, business success all comes down to good communication with your customers and your staff. So that's I spend most of my time now looking at businesses that want to improve the customer experience, that want to win more customers naturally, and obviously the better trained that people are in communicating with customers effectively, the more successful your business is going to be. So, and I don't mean just in verbal communication. I mean the written communication, the marketing, everything that you do projects an image about your business. So that's what I like to focus on, and tailoring that to the individual. So if you're a business of 2 people, I'll work with both of you. If you're a business of 202, I want to work with everybody, because I think it's important that everybody in the business understands the same language around customers.
Yeah, brilliant. And we've got a few people coming on now as well that are saying hello. So we've got Martin Brown. Good afternoon, Martin. We've got
Hello, Martin.
The Samee team are on at the back, so they're taking any comments. We've got Michael saying hello. Liz is saying hi all. We've got Lorraine is on. Hello, lovely peeps. I know that Lorraine's also been doing a training course this week, so she's been working very, very hard. So yeah, she's doing really, really well. And we're going to.
I think she's our number 1 fan, Ricky. She'll turn up to anything we do. I think.
I think so. Definitely.
It's only to make fun.
Definitely. But we're going to bring her back on to do kind of a catch up with her over the next couple of weeks to see where she's come to. So
now there's a woman with great attitude toward customers. Fantastic. She really knows how to get customers thinking differently. So.
Definitely, absolutely. So as usual, if anyone has a question, add the question into the comments in today's section. Let us know what your biggest takeaways will be at the end, and let us know that you're getting value, so we know that we're delivering what you need to know. If you can't comment live, then as usual, put your comment in the Sam at Samee email, and our team behind the scenes will pick that up and let us know the comments that are coming in. So we've also got the team have just put in there the lovely Lorraine and the website for her as well. So if you want to know a little bit different, then brilliant. Lorraine said that was a tenor moment. So bless her. Okay, so I think let's get down to it. So this week was about service. And I think what prompted this kind of conversation was a post during the week where you kind of put a post out there asking about, is it acceptable to kind of let that service drop a little bit because of the current situation, using it as an excuse. What kind of inspired that post?
I get frustrated, Ricky, by poor customer service. And I think this comes from mostly from big businesses that believe they have to have what they label a customer service department. And what they mean is that's customer support, in my word. So we all, if you're dealing with a big business of any kind, at some point things are going to go wrong. We all accept that. But what you want to happen as a customer when you phone that department is your problem gets sorted. And if it does, your impression of that business is improved, even though they had a problem. If they fix it well and they fix it in a reasonable amount of time, and even if it takes a little time to fix, they communicate with you well, you're more likely to stay with that business. But that's not customer service, that's customer support. My view is customer service is an attitude. And with all attitudes, it's the one thing you can't train. So you've got to have people in your business who have the attitude to want to support customers. And I get so frustrated, and I've had some recent personal experience in dealing with some very big companies and some smaller companies where that attitude just wasn't there. It wasn't positive. And I don't think, whatever the political situation or the health situation of the nation is, if you are open for business, you need to be open for business with a very positive attitude. In fact, probably at the moment, you need to be super positive, because let's be honest, everything around us is negative right now, and we're all being dragged down. And I understand why people feel it. But if you're going to be, out front in your business, if you're talking to customers, you need to be on your game, whatever the situation. So I think that's what inspired that post. It's just born out of frustration when I'm trying to deal with big businesses who've, got plenty of money and have got the resources, but don't. And I'm not even blaming the staff. I'm blaming the training of those staff. I said you can't train attitude, but you can create culture around positive attitude, and that's what needs to happen more in big businesses, I think. And in one particular example where I made 3 different phone calls and therefore spoke to 3 different people, one of those 3 people had the right attitude and he sorted my problem. Took him all day, but he said, I'll call you back at the end of the day when I fixed it. And he did. Yeah. That's fine. I don't care how long it takes, as long as it gets done or I get communicated with. That's what I'm after.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think for me, it kind of got me thinking, and I think we've almost seen this situation. It's been very difficult for businesses to operate, but with the technology, we've established they can, but it's almost become an excuse. Oh, I don't need to offer that bit because I can't because of COVID, kind of thing. It's almost that excuse around, or I use that as the reason not to do that at the moment.
Yes, which I think is sad, Ricky. And I said, if you look at the technology, look at what we're doing today. This came about because of COVID. Yeah, your idea to put online what we would love to do face to face as an alternative came about because of the situation. So you've taken a bad situation, if you like. And when it comes down to serving customers, let's be honest, if those phone calls I've made, that company or that person said, tell you what, Mr. Tucker, why don't we get on a video call and we can have a bit more of a personal conversation? We'd have seen each other's faces. He'd have seen my anxiety, perhaps my annoyance. He'd have been able to read me in a different way. And I think so let's take a negative situation and turn it positive and say, why don't we use the technology we've got? And let's be honest, there's a lot of it and it's phenomenal. The fact that even what we're doing today, I still need to get you to train me on at some point, Ricky, because it's brilliant technology, but you're connecting 2 different platforms together and we're talking to an audience live. Yeah. And you're recording it so people can watch later. I mean, it's all there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good, and that's the thing. And we're now getting our branded t-shirts Fry. I'm like, we could do Fry now, and I've got it.
Where's mine?
It will become the new brand of the Samee Wiz session. We'll have it on a Fry to keep it.
I'm still waiting with Samee branding on it. I've still yet to be given a t-shirt or a hoodie or something. I've only been working with the charity for 4 years, or 5 years.
The technical team are listening in. I'm sure they'll put that into the uniform department to make them aware.
You think Santa might deliver something this year, do you think?
You never know. Santa might deliver it, although Santa's having issues with delivery as well, I think.
I need extra large.
Some of the comments that are coming through at the moment is Lorraine was saying that distinction between customer service and customer support is a new concept to me, but she likes it.
Good. Well, and that's what I mean, Lorraine. Customer service is an attitude. What they're giving you is support as a customer, but if they do the support with a positive attitude, you are a happy customer, so you've been served well. I said, it's my distinction is customer service is not a department, it's an attitude. Don't call it a
Absolutely.
department, because it's not. Because often what we get at the minute is customer disservice from those departments. And as a customer service is something you do as a person. It's not something you can train.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was always blessed in the early days when I worked in travel, because you had to be happy because people were coming in to book holidays, and they didn't want to book holidays with someone who was miserable. So you kind of had that training into being happy in service. But Liz is saying, I've always said you can't judge a business by things going wrong. It's how they handle things when they go wrong, just like we were saying. So absolutely, Liz.
And that reminds me of an article I read a few years ago, Liz, called Fix the Experience, Not the Fish. I'll say that again because I'll explain it. Fix the experience, not the fish. So the situation that this blogger wrote about was going out to dinner with a group of friends. And one of the group of friends has a meal where the fish is undercooked. It's inedible. So what the restaurant tried to do was then go and recook it. Well, of course, by the time they then get their new meal back, everybody else has finished. And so although they tried to do what they thought was the right thing, they actually spoilt the experience for the evening. Whereas what he was saying was what the restaurant should have done is said, look, I'm really sorry that we didn't cook your fish properly. How about we offer you something else quickly that you can now eat with everybody else, or we offer you some free wine or some free drinks, or do something different to improve the experience in the evening, instead of just trying to fix the meal itself, which delayed everything. So either everybody else sits and waits and theirs goes cold, or you're eating alone. Whereas actually it's about focusing on the experience those people are having, not the meal itself. Because we all know things are going to go wrong, particularly in a kitchen, in a restaurant. So, but if you act quickly and do something to improve the experience, people will walk away from that meal going, what a great evening, even though something went wrong. So it's focusing on that, on the details, on the experience, not necessarily on the problem itself. So.
Yeah, definitely. So the team are saying only the best team members have Samee wear.
Oh, I'm feeling the love this morning. I'm feeling the love this morning. Thank you, Team Samee. Ricky, there's another.
And Lorraine loving fry,
Yeah, absolutely, Lorraine. There's another. Yeah, there's another little example I'd like to give of exceptional attitude to customer service. And this goes back to about 10 years ago. I was living up in Leicester, and the first hot sunny day of the year. It's a weekend. So like everybody else in the world, we decide to have a barbecue. And the only thing we haven't got is plenty of ice to chill the drinks down in the garden. So I decided to go up to our local, I'm going to name the brand, the local Tesco's Express, to buy some bags of ice to chill the drinks. So, of course, I go in. We know what's going to happen, isn't it? The fridge or the freezer is absolutely empty, isn't it? Because the whole world and their partner has been into that shop, taking all the ice. Yeah. So I'm disappointed. And as I turn around, walking towards me is a young man carrying, and I mean a young man, he was probably 16 at most, carrying an armful of boxes of other things that he's supposed to be putting on the shelves. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this will be good, but I'm going to ask anyway. So I said to him, oh, excuse me, the fridge is empty, the freezer's empty of ice. Don't suppose there's any chance there's some out the back in the warehouse, is there? Because, I'd like some ice. And to my shock, because I have to admit, I was not prepared for this answer. He said, I'm not sure, sir, but I'll go and look. Just give me a moment. And he turned around, put down his boxes he was carrying, went out to the warehouse. 3 or 4 minutes later, he came back with 5 or 6 bags of ice and said, would you like me to carry some to your car? I was absolutely stunned. Now, that young man, I would hire for any business, any job, because he wasn't trained to be that way. He's been brought up that way by his family, by his upbringing. But his attitude at that moment was absolutely perfect. He's probably being paid minimum wage. He's doing a job that he needs to, give him a little bit of pocket money. But his attitude was spot on. Just a minute, sir, I'll go and have a look. And then would you like me to carry it to your car? And that's what I mean by that's real customer service. Yeah. Because he did it without thinking about it. There was no training in there. That's his nature. And that's what I'm looking for when I'm dealing with a business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, we had a recent one going up to West Key where we took my brother-in-law and because of his mobility struggles at the moment, he needs a chair to kind of
Yep.
get around a bit easier. And the staff that were there were absolutely, we went up and asked one and she's like, yeah, absolutely. She got him a chair to sit on. She took me with her to get it,
Yep.
had a chat while and just the service was so great. So
Yep.
we made the point of actually commenting and saying.
Exactly. It makes your whole day better, Ricky, doesn't it? You're going out for the day. Somebody's made life easier for you. They've improved the experience you had. It just makes everything flow. And in fact, if that's the situation where the attitude of the people that you're dealing with is so good, you're more likely to spend a bit more money. You're more likely to return to that business. You're more likely to recommend that business to other people, just because the attitude of the people serving you was so good.
Exactly. And that's why you always come back to the Samee charity, isn't it, Simon?
Of course, yes. That and the threat of physical violence if I don't.
The team have put up one about the fix the experience, not just the fish link there.
There you go. They found the article. I think it's an Australian guy, if I'm not wrong, and I read that years ago. It's a great article. So thanks for finding that, Samee. I would encourage everybody to read that little article. It's great because that says it all. It's all about the experience, not the food, not the product, not the the situation you're in. It's all about the attitude. And I use an example in terms of what this means quite a lot, which is if you go to a very, very expensive high-end restaurant, it's got Michelin stars, say, and you have fantastic food, but the atmosphere is very formal, perhaps a bit stuffy. They make you feel a little uncomfortable because it's all a bit, which fork do I use? Do I put my napkin down? How do I behave in this establishment? Alternatively, you go to a reasonably low-priced, fast casual dining experience, say, and there are plenty of those chains around. And the staff are fun, the food is pretty good, but they make it an enjoyable evening. They look after you. They're hovering around the table, offering to fill your glasses up. You go away from the stuffy one saying, well, it was great, but I wouldn't really recommend it. You go away from the one that was not necessarily the best food in the world, but the service was brilliant. The attitude of the staff was brilliant. You go away and recommend it to all your friends because you've had a great night. You've had average food, maybe not even the best food you've ever tasted, but you've had a great evening because they've made it that way, because they've had fun with you, and they've appealed to your sense of enjoyment rather than just the food itself. So
Samee team is saying you can train the skills, but attitude is everything. The whole Samee team have been taken on for their attitude and empathy skills. So,
absolutely.
M is saying, "Oops, sorry, I'm late. Good afternoon from me and Daz." So welcome, M.
Hello, M and Daz.
Not late until it's finished. So good to see you on. Thank you for joining us. So I think we've talked a little bit about good service, and I think we've shown what we consider good service. But what do you think is the difference between sales and service?
I think they're inextricably linked, and I can't spell that word, so don't ask me to, and I probably can't say it again now. I've said it once quite clearly. But they are directly linked, Ricky. Again, people think sales is about pushing people into buying something. In my world, it's not. Sales is about asking questions of the customer to find out what they want, what they need, what they like, what issues they've got, whatever it might be. It's about asking questions and understanding what the customer sees as value. I can't push onto you what I think is value. I can only ask you what you believe is value and then offer my product or service, hopefully, to meet what you see as value. So that's the sales process, understanding what the customer wants or needs and providing a product or service to meet those needs at a price they believe is value, not what I believe is value, what they believe is value. So, but if you do that in a really nice way, as I said, let's take the restaurant experience. If you're providing a really good atmosphere and you're helping people have a good evening, regardless of what they're eating or drinking, then the sales are naturally going to go up, aren't they? So if I deliver my service is training, if I deliver it in a miserable way, nobody's ever going to book me again, and they're certainly not going to recommend me. But if the people that I train enjoy the day, not only because they learned something, but they had fun, they didn't feel pressurized, they didn't feel picked on, they're likely to book another course because they want to learn more and they like my delivery style. They're also, this is where the sales comes in, they're going to recommend me to other customers, potential customers. And there's no more powerful thing in business than a recommendation from an existing customer to a potential customer. You know, I can spend weeks on the phone trying to find new customers, and I might spend 3 weeks on the phone and find 2 customers. That's a lot of effort for not a lot of return. But if I get 3 customers recommend me to another potential client, I'm almost guaranteed those customers, almost, if I'm apply myself correctly, but because I've got an open door. So sales and customer service, you cannot break the chain between the two. And again, going back to the Tesco's experience I had earlier, it wasn't Tesco's that gave me that experience. It was that young man. So if he then moved to another shop tomorrow, where would I go and look for my shopping? Where it is. And I've done that myself again with in buying a car. I bought a car from a particular brand of supplier once upon a time and had the best experience I've ever had. Now, when I went back to that same dealership, he'd moved on. So I went and found it and bought it from where he was working next, which was a different brand. So I wasn't loyal to the brand. I was loyal to the sales. So it's the two go hand in hand, Rick. You can't take one away without the other. So
absolutely. And Simon is saying morning, Simon, just into afternoon. So good to see you on here. Thank you for joining us.
Loving the pumpkin in his logo there.
I think everyone's getting ready for the big night tonight, which will be interesting. It's going to be a bit different, I think.
It's tomorrow night, isn't it, Ricky?
Tomorrow night. Yeah, it could be tonight, tomorrow, all weekend.
And when people are listening to this, I suppose.
Exactly. But yeah, I remember we went to a training course recently and they were talking about sales and looking at it from a different way, actually, that if you find something you love and you believe in, that you believe provides something for people that they need, and you get behind that belief, it almost becomes like a service, because actually you want people to have it and you're showing them the value in it. So it's almost like to not share it would be a bad thing. So that's where the service element comes in. So it was really interesting kind of concept and different way of looking at it.
And as we said at the beginning, Ricky, when the most important thing about how you view a brand or a supplier or a business is when things go wrong. If they put it right, either quickly, or they can't put it right, but they do something to improve your experience with them. So, they replace it with something else or give you your money back without question, you are still likely to go back to that business a second time. Whereas if they handle it badly or they treat you badly when things go wrong, you're never going to recommend them and you're never going to go back to them. And that's what a waste. They reckon it takes, 80% of your effort is in getting new customers. So once you've won them, you need to hold on to them. And if you can, you've got put all the effort into winning customers, then look after the ones you've got, because they'll stay with you and they'll recommend you to other people. So.
Absolutely. And I think we've kind of covered this a little bit, but we were going to talk about how providing service improves sales. But I think you've demonstrated that quite well within the scenario used with Tesco. And for example, the car, the fact that you'll go back to them and you're more likely to use them again. So.
Yeah. And it comes down to individuals often, Ricky. A business, again, might be give my recent experience with one of the big broadband providers. The person who finally sorted out my problem is the person I want to speak to every time. Sadly, they won't give you their name. They're not allowed to anymore. I don't know why, but they're not allowed to. But if I could guarantee that every time I had a problem, I could speak to that person, I would think very well of that brand. Sadly, I know I'm probably never going to meet that person on the phone again, because it's a huge company and there's thousands of employees. But ultimately, that person deserves a pay rise, a gold star, a pat on the back, a bottle of wine, something, because he made my experience of that business positive, whereas all the previous experiences I'd had were totally negative. And if on the 3 days previous you'd asked me what I thought about that provider, I wouldn't have recommended them. If you'd phoned me on the day that he'd sorted my problem out, I'd say, oh yeah, they've been great today. So it can that the way that the individual operates within a business can have a massive impact on other people's attitude to your business. Now, if you're a sole trader, you're a small business, then obviously you're probably the provider and the business owner. So you've really got to be on your game all the time. But as you said, when you were in travel, you were probably part of a much bigger group. But I imagine people came back to book their holidays with you, not because of the group you worked for, but because of the way that you dealt with them. So if you moved group, if you went to a different brand still as a travel agent, your customers would probably go, oh, where's Ricky gone? Let's go to that company now. Because let's be honest, they can all provide the same service, the same products. Yeah. So let's go and buy from the person we had the most fun with last time we were in that business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people,
I was very lucky because a couple of my customers would actually take me over to cross the road for a coffee because they didn't want to sit in a travel agent and discuss holidays. They wanted to have coffee and comfort. So to the annoyance of my manager, I used to have to pop out the shop to do the appointment. So
if it makes sales, what difference does it make, you know?
Exactly. Definitely.
Sales,
Lorraine is saying,
take you on holiday with them, do
they? No, unfortunately not. Never got to go on holiday with them. Just go for coffee. Sometimes they bring you a little treat back, though, which was quite nice. Lorraine was saying that what you were just saying about loyalty to the person and not the dealership, it reminds her of hairdressers. A good hairdresser that understands your hair will carry their clientele with them.
Absolutely, Lorraine. Absolutely. It's because that's even more so when you look at personal services like hairdressing, medical, dental, optical. Let's be honest, again, there's thousands of providers out there. So where you get the best personal experience, somebody who really knows you as a person, understands you, listens to you, and doesn't just give you a great haircut, but they do that consistently. So you can trust them. It's a very personal service. So again, why would you change? If that person moves salons or moves to a different optical outlet or a different dental practice or a different medical practice, you're probably going to follow them because it's such a personal service that you're putting, obviously I don't care about mine because I could do it myself. But for most people, it's a very personal and intimate service. So you're going to go where that person you've built a relationship with. And the biggest part of any trust is the relationship you have with the person providing the service or the product. And that counts for a huge amount, particularly when it's a personal service like that. So.
Yeah, and Simon is saying that last year when he had his first dabble in selling his creations, it was the whole customer interaction was key, talking to them, giving them time of day if they wanted it. Customers kept coming back and it was wonderful.
Absolutely, Simon. Yeah, I like the point you put in there. If they wanted it, remember, not every customer is not going to want to stand and chat with you. But the fact that you offer it, I believe, I don't know if this is true or not, but everybody quotes it as an old Chinese proverb, which is "Man without smiling face shouldn't open shop," which is absolutely, when you break it down, absolutely true. How many shops you go into where they're just miserable? Well, I just turn around and walk straight out again. Whatever their problems are personally, if you're in a public customer-facing position, whether it's on the telephone or whether it's in a shop or whatever the business might be, you need to be happy and smiling and willing to talk to people if they want that conversation. And for some customers, they won't do any business with you until they've been in 3 or 4 times and just got to know you a little bit, or had some interaction with you. They want to know the person behind the brand. And that means a lot. We are we're humans. We like to interact with other people, and that's part of the process, part of the excitement of buying, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's right. What like you said, with if they wanted it, working with when I worked at Tesco's, interestingly enough, their customer service training was a little bit based around that. Apart from, they would teach you things like how do you start a conversation? Start with "Hi, how are you?" And it was like, well, okay, most of us know how to ask that one, but then they would talk about that actually. Recognize the body language and how the person is, because some people will want that conversation, whereas some people just want to come in, buy something and go and get away from it. So
and I think a smile goes a long way, Ricky. If you're working in a big shop like that, if a customer, you haven't got time to judge every customer, but if you smile at somebody and they avoid your eyes or duck away, they don't want to be bothered. If you smile at somebody and they engage, so even non-verbally you can pick up some clues and cues about what the other person wants. And that's important. It's being aware, isn't it? It's being aware of the other person. And again, 80% of your success in a business will be not your knowledge of the business or your product knowledge. It'll be down to your attitude. A positive attitude is 80% of your success anywhere in life, I think.
Definitely.
Because you can, again, if you're working in a big store or a big business, it doesn't matter if you don't know the answer, as long as you go and find out that answer, because somebody in your business does know the answer. What drives me insane is when somebody on the telephone says, "Oh, the system won't let me." Well, I'm sorry, but I don't care about your system. I want the solution. So go away, talk to somebody else, and find out a way around this, because the system is there to be manipulated. If you're going to let the computer dictate how you deal with me as a customer, I'm never going to deal with you again. So
reminds me when I worked in travel, when we worked in foreign exchange, we had the system that we went to when the computer system broke down, and I was working with this young lad, and all of a sudden the system went, and he went, "What do we do?" I went, "You know that big bulky thing that we have in the safe that I said to you, when the computer breaks we need it, that's what we need." And we got it out, and he was like, "What is it?" It's one of the old-fashioned slide credit card machine. So you can still do the transactions when the computer breaks down. It was quite funny to see.
People would know what one of those was, Ricky. Just the fact that they knew it was there, or you knew it was there, is important. I had a similar experience only a year or so ago, where I think it was at a petrol station or something. The internet had gone down. They had no power, so they got the credit card machine out, and then he ran my card through it, and it wasn't working. So he said, "I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to write it by hand." So he did, but at least he knew what to write. But you wouldn't give up. You can serve me in some way, and that's all I want, is somebody that's going to find a way around of serving me in the best possible way they can. And I'll forgive them any failure of system if their attitude is, "Come on, let's make this work somehow for you." Even if it means I've got to come and deliver it for you myself, or whatever it might be, or I'll write it down on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter.
Definitely. Martin's picked up an important thing, and I think we're probably going to come on to this a little bit anyway. But Martin has said that since using Zoom compared to just a phone call, he's closed far more deals in business. It's definitely the body language, facial expressions, and where you can tell you're speaking from the heart. Customer service can be improved by seeing the person face to face rather than trying to make the point over the cold telephone.
Absolutely, Martin. Spot on. I totally agree with that. And, if you'd asked me 6 months ago whether having Zoom or video calls with customers was important, I probably wouldn't have said, no, I don't think it's that important. But now I can see the advantage of it in any situation. And if you take a business like a legal firm or an accountancy firm or a medical dental practice, those receptionists would normally have been sat in a little office all on their own, greeting patients or customers, taking phone calls. They can work from home now. They've done it successfully for the past 8 or 9 months. But not only can they do it successfully, they can get on a video call totally undisturbed with that person and get the rapport and the relationship going. Part of that comes from back in the many years ago, a guy called Albert Morabian did some research into how we understand each other as humans. And what he proved with his research was that over 55% of the way that we understand each other is visual. So if you're just on the telephone, you've got under 50% chance of either understanding the other person, the customer, or them understanding you. Put the video on, suddenly you're into full potential understanding. Because as Martin said, you can read the body language, you can see their expression. They can be, even a slight gesture of their eyes might tell you that they're interested or not interested.
Yeah.
I said to you, if somebody walks into your shop and you smile at them and they look away and try and nip down another aisle, they don't want to engage in a conversation.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got that visual, you can't do that. So Martin's right. Absolutely. Getting onto a video call with a customer is so powerful. And I say this to all of the people I'm training is, if you are in a business where you have to write a proposal to somebody, don't send it by email. Book a call, a video call, share your screen and run through the proposal with them, because then they can see you, you can see them. You can engage in another part of the sales process and ask questions and get confirmation. So, Ricky, when we talked before, you were saying this is what you wanted. Is that still correct? Yes, it is. And then I show you that I've put it in the proposal. Ricky, you also said you wanted this, and I show you in the proposal. So having those visuals, very, very powerful, because The other thing that Morabian proved was if you've only got the written word, so just the words on the page themselves, the chances of the other person understanding it goes down to as low as 7%.
Yeah.
Which is why we get text messages really offended, because we understood the words. Why we put smiley faces most comes in messages to try and convey meaning, visual meaning. So yeah, video calling is the best way to run your business right now, I would say. Get on a video call with your customers.
Definitely. And I think this will actually, Liz has asked a question, but I think it ties in with what we were going to talk about next anyway, because Liz has said, I sell items on Amazon and eBay. How can I make myself stand out with customer support? And that kind of ties in with what we were going to talk about with a world where we face more barriers of reduced little or no face-to-face contact. How can we provide great service? So I think those two kind of tie in together.
They do. And I think in answer to Liz's question, one of the things obviously is testimonials. If you can get genuine customer testimonials and post those on there, obviously that helps immensely, because what other people say about your business, if it's positive, will obviously encourage it. I do it, and I'm sure you do it, Ricky. When you're booking things online or buying things online, I look at the reviews of people. Look at a range of reviews, obviously, some people are just negative, so you've got to look at a range of reviews. The other thing I would say, Liz, is try and make all of your adverts on those systems as personal as possible. So whatever it is you're selling, quote other people if you can. So again, if people have said nice things about it, if you can build that into if there's space in your marketing on the sites to put a little bit of what other people have said that's true, and offer to talk to people personally. So again, if you're willing to. If customers have got questions, why not get on a Zoom call with them and say, look, I'm willing to take phone calls or calls from anybody. Whenever I do a lecture or workshop, I always give people my email address and my mobile phone number and say, look, if you've got questions afterwards, call me. Try and make a personal connection with them. So it's hard but if I mean, I know myself, I bought a book once on Amazon because one of my friends had read it, and a review had popped up somewhere that said, oh, John's read this. So I thought, well, if John's read it, I'll read it. When I read it, it was a terrible book. I didn't enjoy it at all. But because John had read it, I thought I'll buy it. And John's a good friend of mine. So it doesn't always work, but it's not always a guarantee. But I think the more personal you can make your messaging in your advertising on those sites, the more likely you are to get those connections. So, and I said, offer to take calls from people if people have got questions. Don't just leave it to web chat. Say, look, if you're not happy with web chat, pick up the phone and I'll speak to you.
Yeah. And I think that kind of ties in a little bit with, and I can't remember the figure, so I'm not going to quote it because I don't want people to shoot me for getting the wrong percentage. But I remember reading some information where it said that actually the majority of people will trust a recommendation from a friend or family member or someone online over an expert.
Yeah, and that's evident. If you go into any NHS service at the minute, any National Health Service point, hospital, doctor's practice, medical, whatever it might be, the survey they have now is the friends and family tests, and all they say is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being positive, 1 being negative, how likely are you recommend our service to your friends or family? Because let's be honest, there's nothing more personal than a medical service. So if you've had a good experience opening yourself up, literally in some cases, to a medical professional, the big test is, would you send your partner, your wife, your daughter, your sister, your brother, your son to that same service? If you would, you can't get a stronger recommendation than that, I think. So, personal testimonials are very powerful. So the more you can gather of those, and I said, but in this world of online business, the more you can get visual with your customers, I offer the opportunity to have a video call with them, the more powerful it is and the more chance you've got of repeating those sales and getting their recommendation to other people. I think, in business, we're always looking to define our ideal customer. Now, to me, an ideal customer is somebody who buys regularly, so keeps coming back, pays their bills on time, but most importantly, recommends me to other people. That's an ideal customer to me. So they buy, they come back, they pay, but they also recommend you to others. That's a golden customer.
Yeah, definitely. And what you were saying about the survey, it has made me a couple of times when I've had to go down to A&E, it's made me chuckle a little bit. A time when you really want something to lift the spirits, because you see the survey and it says, would you recommend our A&E department to your friends and family? You kind of think, well, I don't really want to recommend any A&E, but also closest one is usually the best when you're in that situation. But yeah, absolutely.
But if you need one, this one's good. Yeah, if you need this one's good.
Yeah. I'm not sure about this one. Go to the one 40 miles down the road. See what that's like.
But that simple survey, Ricky, for any business, I recommend it. Again, you can Google this.
Yeah.
Net Promoter Score is the science behind it, and the reason the Net Promoter Score works is you get people to say on a scale of 1 to 10 how likely they are to recommend your business or service to others, and people answer it because it's one question, and all they've got to do is circle a number on 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10. If you're consistently getting 8, 9s, and 10s, you're doing well. If you're getting 6, 7s, and 8s, you need to think about and find out a bit more detail. If they're below 6s, you've got a problem. But if you do this survey regularly with your customers, you've got that constant feedback, the voice of the customer, it's called.
Yeah.
But you can Google it. So it's an excellent piece of research on Net Promoter Scores. But I think instead of just please respond to our survey thing, which I get all the time from big businesses, and they ask you a series of questions on text. Yeah, there you go, Samee. Look at that. Look how good the back office team are today.
They're on the ball today. Oh, I think we seem to have dropped slightly, lost an internet connection there.
Service reputation now. But yeah, so do the Net Promoter Score on your business, on your customers on a regular basis. But do it personally. Get on a video call or a phone call and say, Ricky, thanks for buying that online yesterday. Can I just ask you, what was your experience like? What could we do better? And would you recommend us? Just phone people. Don't be frightened to phone your customers.
Yeah, Lorraine is saying, and I think this is something we were talking about a little bit before, but she said, totally agree. I'm lucky to have the ability to use my Cadbury's caramel voice. And she also said that she likes the idea of screen sharing the proposal document.
Yes, Lorraine, if you don't follow that advice, you will be shot.
Michael is saying, don't deal with DWP then. So I think he's talking about the systems and the service there. Yeah.
Well, on that note, I would tend to agree because it's a big business, but I had a personal experience of DWP earlier this year. And whilst I didn't get the result I was looking for, the person I dealt with was absolutely superb. They called me back. They were friendly. They were open. They were honest. Now, again, they're not trained by DWP to be that way. That was them as a person. And again, I would hire her to take her into any business, because if she can deal with, people, and let's be honest, that's a challenging job working for DWP.
Yeah.
In most cases, if she can have that kind of attitude, I'd put her into any business. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lorraine's right about her Cadbury's caramel bunny voice. I'd buy anything for Lorraine. I don't care.
She's actually saying she loves the A&E banter. These sessions regularly have me belly laughing. We're good for the soul, apparently. So
good job we don't charge for these sessions, Lorraine. Nobody could afford them. We're such good value. Perhaps we can be the new Cannon and Ball, Ricky.
Yeah, exactly. Darren from DCM Audio has gone to his customer. He says thank you and bye for now. So he's had to go off and do some good customer service. But I'm sure he'll be back to see the rest of it. Definitely.
Remember, customer service is an attitude, not a department. So if you've got the right attitude, you are in customer service.
Yeah,
and you will win friends and influence people.
Definitely. And I think I was listening to someone talk about something the other day, how, this current situation has made everyone adapt. And it's, for some businesses, it's become the end. And for some businesses in the same industry, it's become the beginning. And they used restaurants example and said, you've got restaurants in the same town offering very similar services. Ones have had to shut the door and say, why is this happening? Why are you making us close? This is the end of my business. And then on the other side of the street, you've got the same type of business that are now going, we can offer takeaway. We'll build a drive-through in our thing. And they're totally adapting.
Yeah, there was a place opening in Bournemouth, or just planning to open just before lockdown. And of course they couldn't. So during lockdown, it was a pizza place. They offered pizza kits. So you could order it online. They delivered the kit of everything you needed. The dough was already made. So it was all the kit. They delivered that to your house. So people made pizzas at home. So that business that was about to open, a restaurant, was closed, immediately locked and never did open. It has opened again now. but they found new customers because they delivered what they were making for you to make it home.
Yeah.
And in fact, my son's just done that. He lives in Germany, and he's a chef by trade and no work through COVID. So he just made some little flyers, went to everybody in his apartment block and said, would you like restaurant quality Michelin star food delivered to your house once a week? He only does it once a week. And he's already got 5 or 6 customers that keep coming back every week. And he makes them a meal, delivers it to them complete. So a 3-course meal. All they've got to do is warm it up and provide their own drinks.
Sounds great. Can he move back to Bournemouth?
Yeah, that's what I said when you coming home. He came here for 5 weeks in the summer. We had wonderful meals, I can assure you.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to say. I think training is one of those that, training has been affected massively, and we've seen it. But that was one of the questions that we were going to ask as well. How has it affected you and your business, and how have you adapted?
Well, it affected my business a lot because most of my 99.9% of my business was face-to-face in big, classrooms full of people. But I got asked, I hadn't even considered what I was going to do next, but I got asked by some existing customers if I could do some online training. I thought, I don't know, but I'll try. So I did. And I did, for one company, I did 4 sessions of the same thing, 4 different groups. And by my own measure, this is only my measure, they got better as I went through them because I learned to adapt my style to online. And in fact, only yesterday I was online watching a lady in a networking group show us some of the tools within Zoom that you can do for online training and stuff that I didn't even know existed. So I've now found some extra things that are in Zoom that just allows for that bit more person-to-person engagement in the session. So the way I've adapted, Ricky, is just to amend my classroom workshops to online. It's not the same because I think one of the things about classroom workshops is people learn as much from each other as they do from me. Yeah, because they'll talk in the coffee breaks and the lunch breaks. But as well as I do, you can create breakout rooms on Zoom and allow them some of that time. So you just have to adapt your style, and that's what I've had to do. I think the biggest issue for me is that right now, because all businesses are struggling with sales, training and marketing tend to be the first things they cut in terms of saving money when it's tough. When in fact, in my view, of course, they should be investing in training and marketing at this moment. So I'm investing in my marketing to look at, trying to win some new customers in different areas, legal practice, accountancy practice, away from the dental that I've done a lot of. So you just got to adapt your model and doing it. Am I, busy at the minute? No, I'm not. But hey, it'll come. It'll come.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it kind of indicates, because some people I think are waiting for the old normal to return, and I think we know now, when you see big organizations and big influencers and everyone else in industries are doing things differently. Me and Ash attended a training at the weekend where 12,000 people attended online as a weekend conference, and it's like, that shows you this is kind of a new normal, if you like. It is going to be this way for a long time.
Let's be honest, it's going to be a long time before we get back to big group meetings, I think. Yeah. So we have to adapt. You must have had a big screen to see 12,000 people all on that Zoom call.
we were lucky. I didn't have to see them. I just had to participate. We only had to see one screen. But yeah, you could see them all in this huge screen behind. It was quite
tiny little pictures. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. It's quite impressive.
It's about, the other thing I would say, Ricky, on that note is don't do it alone. Ask for help. Let's be honest. You and the guys at Samee are there to take calls from people, Zoom calls, phone calls, text messages, whatever it might be. Don't sit and suffer in silence. Somebody in the group somewhere has got an idea for you to help you get your business back on the track or up and running. So just ask for help. And likewise, as I've said earlier, I'm very happy for my name and number, my email address to be given out to anybody that's watching today. If they've got questions, I'll always take their calls, and I'm very happy to get on a video call with them. So
wonderful.
Especially Lorraine, if she's going to use her Cadbury's caramel bunny voice, then that's fine anytime.
Excellent. And we've got we'll bring up the details at the end, but we've got the email address there, simon@profitableconversation.com. So if you need that, and if anyone needs to send them through to us and we can forward them, sam@samee.co.uk as well. Lorraine saying thanks for the link, guys, it's going to be really useful. So we've put a link up there in the chat about support for Zoom as well. So there's been several links in there today that have helped. I've heard this concept, and I know you will have heard this concept as well, about turning customers into fans, because that's
Yeah.
when they stay.
Yeah.
So what are your kind of top 3 tips for turning customers into fans?
Communicate with customers even when you're not doing business with them. So make sure that you're always at some point just either picking up the phone just to say hello. If you're out and about, if we're allowed to be out and about, go and have a coffee with them. Communicating with customers on another level that's not just about, oh, I want to sell you something or I want to do some more business with you. So remember to treat customers as they are. They're people. And if once in a while you happen to be in the area or you've got a few minutes to spare and you can drop them an email just saying, how are you today? How's life? How are the kids? How are the family? Customers are people. And if you treat them as people, if you treat them as human beings, they're more likely to be fans. The other end of it, is, as we started this conversation, Ricky, is about how you serve them. And if you genuinely serve them from the bottom of your heart, they will be fans. They'll talk about you even when things go wrong. They'll talk well about you because you fix the experience, not the fish.
Yeah,
it's all about the experience you give people and making it personal. You know, the better the personal connection, the better it'll be, and the more fan-like they'll become. So.
And the Samee team behind the scenes are saying that's because I am awesome.
Of course, that's a given, Sam. Yes.
So I think, you know, it's the last one that I want to ask, and I know we've asked the one before about if you were to go back, what would you suggest? So I think just to finish off, if someone wanted a great training resource on service, what would you suggest?
Great training resource.
Yeah.
I think obviously there's lots on the internet you can look at in terms of customer service, but I think the best training you can have is think about how you want to be treated and design your business plan, your customer process around how you would want to be. So put yourself in the shoes of the customer and walk your journey, your business journey. Walk through it yourself, or better still, get a friend or family member to mystery shop it. So somebody, you know, get them to do it when you're not expecting it, pretending to be a customer. Or it's something I do for my customers. I mystery shop them all the time, and I'm happy to do it for any of your listeners. If they want to be mystery shopped by me, I'll more than happily do it. I just need to, you know, to be prompted. So keep reviewing your process. I think, but the best way to refine your process is to keep putting yourself in the position of the customer. I look at, again, you know, I've just been mystery shopping legal practice and accountancy practice to see what response I got. And I have a genuine situation I put to them. And of the 7 legal practices I called recently, only 1 called me back, and they didn't leave a message. Not one of them's emailed me. None of them have followed up with me.
Yeah.
So review your own processes as if you were a customer on a regular basis. That's the best training resources you can find. Obviously, there are people like me and many others that can talk to you about and train you in these processes. But ultimately, if you put yourself in your customer's shoes and walk the journey that they're walking, see where it falls over and fix the places where it falls over.
And I think Martin Brown has just said that he kept in touch with past customers, especially via social media, and eventually they've come back, which is fantastic. So
exactly that, Martin. Just drop them, you know, little articles. Maybe an article we've talked about today, you find that interesting. Send it to all your customers and say, "Oh, I've just read this today." You're not selling them anything. You're just saying, "Oh, I found something interesting. I think you might find interesting too." And in terms of walking in your customer's shoes, we've all said this. You know, how many of us have walked into a restaurant, gone straight to the bathrooms and thought, "Oh, these are dirty. So if the bathrooms are dirty, what's the kitchen like?" That's the sort of view you've got to take of your own business. Where are the dirty spots? Go back and look at it through your customer's eyes. You know, I've spent 40 years of my life dealing with dental practices, and I've walked into thousands of them all over the world. And if I walk up the front path and there's rubbish and there's, you know, leaves and weeds growing out the footpath, I think, they don't care about the front of this business. I wonder what the inside's like. What's it like behind the scenes? So look at your business through your customer's eyes. That's the best customer service training you'll ever have.
Definitely. And I think that's a great place to finish. And I think that's been a great session. Thank you ever so much, Simon, for joining us and delivering that session today. That's been great. Let us know what value.
Great interviewing, Ricky.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better. So yeah, leave us some comments. Let us know that you've got value. Let us know what your takeaways were from today. It's been a great day today. Next week we are back again. I challenge all the men to join as well, because we are going to be talking about menopause. But as we've said, it is not just a woman's business. You need to be aware of this.
You do, trust me.
Exactly. An interesting statistic I've picked up apparently from listening to a little bit of this is that 60% of women in their 40s and 50s and 60s will ask for divorce. So it's definitely a session to listen to, I think. So
when's my wife going to ask for that? I've been waiting for the request to come in.
You never know. You never know.
Can I ask that all of our fans today invite their friends next week? So the only way we're going to grow these sessions is for them to invite their friends. So if you've had a good time, please tell others about it.
Definitely. And Lorena said fab session. Liz has said great session. Thanks
Liz. Thanks.
Tina saying that we've just become an endometriosis friendly employer. So that's a very
I'm so glad we needed one of those.
yeah. So it's all really, really good, and everything's going great. Thank you ever so much for joining us, Simon, and thank you to everyone for coming. And we will see you next week, same time, same place.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.